Yeah, we are live now, and today we're talking about how to budget your action scenes. Hi,
Hi, Vicky.
how are you? Am I breaking? Is the network okay?
The last 2 days there's no Wi-Fi at home, so we're like losing our minds. We don't know what to do with ourselves. It's been bad and good. I mean, I'm sure everyone's going through the same thing. It's like a roller coaster. You have 4 days of really good days, and then you have one really bad day, and then you're like, oh my God, what's happening?
Okay, for those of you who do not know, Kripa Jai Singh is also a creative producer and co-founder of Bigger Picture Company, which is a production house, and you guys make a lot of cool ad films and short length and long format projects. So, yeah, tell us about your journey, Kripa. How did you started being a line producer, and what exactly is line producer? We'll get to that later. But like,
Yeah.
tell us a little about your journey.
Well, the journey's been long, but I'm going to keep it really short. Basically, I've landed where I have just by chance and I think a lot of hard work. Um, I did my mass communication in college, and I always knew that I wanted to be in the field of media. But I think towards the end of college, it kind of got narrowed more towards the video side of things. And soon after college, I first joined I first joined my first job as an assistant director on an animation film, and from there I sort of just went on to doing smaller projects on my own. Then I started working with my partner Shanavaz. We did a few projects together, and we realized that our ideologies match and the way we work kind of match. So we said, okay, let's give it a shot. Let's just start this company. And in the early days, it was literally just the two of us, and we'd have to sort of multitask and do everything, whether it was coming up with a concept to figuring out the team to handling the monies to shooting, directing, editing, being a spot boy. Everything had to be done by the two of us, because obviously we didn't have the expertise, we didn't have the experience, we didn't to get like big clients and things like that, so we had to start really small. So that's when both of us kind of realized what our core strengths were. And luckily for me, my core strength is sort of organizing and paying attention to those small details and making sure every little thing is sort of in place and taken care of. So I moved more towards the production side, and he moved more towards the direction and creative side and things like that. So yeah, that's how I am where I am today.
Wow, I mean, you literally started from scratch, huh? That seriously must
Yeah.
have been quite a journey, man.
I mean, everyone has to start from scratch. So yeah, it's been good.
Amazing. Well, and tell us a little bit about Bigger Picture, please.
So the bigger picture is, again, it's a small production house, as you guys know, owned by both Shanvas and I together, and basically we try
I
and
think
do.
no production house is small, because I think any production house which is capable of making beautiful films is a big production house, according to me.
Yeah,
And you
I
guys have
guess, I
made a
mean,
lot of
it's,
them already, so yeah, you don't
yeah,
need to be diplomatic about that at all. She's not, she's big.
we try. But yeah, I mean, in as far as like you can compare to like the biggest of production houses, but we are very like on a low scale compared to them. But yeah, we basically try and do anything that comes our way that is related to video. We try and just sort of pick it up. And what we really love to do is pick up projects and put a spin on them, so that we add that interesting sort of element. Because if there's no challenge, what's the fun, right? I mean, we try and look at every opportunity, even if it's like just a plain old corporate film. We try and see how we can make it interesting, or if it's just an AV, we look for ways to sort of add value to it, so that basically our entire funda is that whatever project we get, we have to add the most value to it, so that our clients are happy with the job we're doing. That is our basic funda.
So, what do you think? I really want this to understand. whatever process or system that is involved in making an ad film work, like a 30-second work, starting from scratch till the very end, till the delivery. Do you think the process of making is the same for longer format projects also?
It depends, but yeah, more or less the process is pretty much the same. You have the same amount of pre-production. You are going to go into, you have your certain steps where either you're working on a script or you get a script and you break it down. You get in a whole team. There are those certain processes which has to be done on every project, whether it's a small level project or whether it's a long format project, it has to be done.
So the
So
approach
it's
is
just
going to be
about,
the same.
yeah, the approach is pretty much the same because there are n number of steps that you have to follow for everything, right?
Right.
But it's just that for a long format, it'll be much more complicated. For example, breaking down a script for a long format project, it's going to be much more complicated. There are going to be more characters, there are going to be more just logistics in terms of your
Logistics.
locations, in terms of your number of days of shoot, in terms of your team. All of that is going to change based on the kind of project that you're doing. So in terms of breaking it down in terms of the steps that you're following, it's pretty much the same, whether it's an ad film or whether it's a long format. It's just on the scale that you're doing it that's going to be different. So I
Okay.
hope that
So
answers
tell,
your
no,
question.
you actually did. So I just want to understand, like in simple language, कि यार कितने प्रोड्यूसर होते हैं यार, और कितने टाइप के प्रोड्यूसर होते हैं, और उसमें से स्पेशली
Uh,
लाइन प्रोड्यूसर का काम क्या होता है? What are his rules?
yeah.
His
Okay.
or her
So
roles?
it can be complicated and it can't be complicated as well. Each person has a different way of looking at it, but mota I'll tell you. So there is a producer who is pretty much right on top, who is the person who takes all the decisions and the person who is sort of negotiating the money with the client and things like that. So
Okay.
that is a producer. Vicky, I seem to have lost you.
Uh,
Hello.
yeah. Can you hear me?
Okay, you're back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there is the producer who sits right on top, and he's the one who pretty much, he or she is the one who gets the project and pretty much handles the entire thing in terms of he knows what monies that we're exactly talking about. Under a producer is an executive producer. So the EP will know exactly how much money we're talking about, and he or she is also the person who gets the team on board and he or she can take the executive decisions as to how much to spend, whether a certain thing is needed or not.
Okay.
Basically, the person who takes the executive decision, the person who actually takes the call on set is an EP. Then you have a line producer who is the person who is working on ground, getting all things organized, making sure teams are on set, making sure things are happening according to what needs to be happening. Okay, I'm not sure if you guys can hear me clearly or no because
Absolutely, you're
my
crystal
internet seems
clear.
to be dodgy and I seem to have lost you.
Again?
Okay, you guys can hear me, right? So I should just
Yeah.
continue because I can't hear you or see you
No, no,
at
no.
all. I mean, your
Yeah,
image is just frozen.
you're. Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Okay, great. I can hear you. You sound a bit like a robot, but yeah, I can vaguely hear you.
I have no idea. Why is that?
Yeah. Yeah, so I was talking about line
Everyone can
producer.
hear
So
you. Yeah.
the line producer is the person, yeah, so the line producer is the person who is actually on the ground and coordinating everything, organizing, everything, making sure that things are moving smoothly, things like that. Basically, the person who sort of does things, who is in action most of the time, you can just say hands-on kind of a person. And then you have a production controller and production assistants who kind of help out and just allow everything. So depending on how big the production is, you will have all these people on board along with
Okay, so you have a
producer,
producer
EP, and
right
line
on
producer.
top, EP, line producer, and then the production controller is like an assistant to the line producer.
I'm sorry, Vicky, I can't understand what you're saying at all. I mean, I can't hear a thing you're saying.
Okay, 1 second. Let me just. Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, I can.
I can hear you. Yeah, yeah. Is
Oh
it
no.
good?
Yeah, yeah, much better.
Okay, cool. Yeah, can we go ahead? Network.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, so basically your production controller is just like a assistant your to the line producer, right?
No, so the production controller pretty much, it's not exactly an assistant. So basically, we also divide jobs as per the, the largeness of the project or however small the project. We kind of divide the jobs. So the line producer will have a particular job, a production controller will have a particular job. He'll have to handle some part of the team. So it really depends from production to production how people divide the jobs up and how people split it up. But yeah, mota, these are the kind of people who are there in a production team.
Okay, so if I have to go like step by step, so what exactly are the responsibilities of a line producer? Like from
I
the
think,
moment the moment you get the script or I don't know if there is another
see, I
initial
think
process.
let's not sort of narrow it down only to a line producer, because this is going to be very different for each and every production house how they handle it. We'll just keep it as a production. We'll just keep it a little bit
Yeah, yeah.
wider.
Okay,
We'll
okay.
keep it as a production thing. So basically, once a script comes in, I'll tell you the way I work because that's what I'm most familiar with. Because I also have been a part of the creative process in the past, and I am used to working with my director on even the creative side of things, on a treatment note and things like that. So the way we work is, once the treatment note and everything is approved, we sort of sit together and we figure out. Uh, Obviously, the direction team will do their breakdowns of whether it's a character breakdown or a location breakdown or a costume breakdown, art breakdown, all of that, right? So they'll do that, and the direction team will take the production team through that breakdown. They will sort of give us an idea of how many different things we're looking at. We'll start with location. So location, it'll depend on whether what kind of a location we're shooting at. Are we shooting at multiple locations? Are we shooting at one location? So it is as my job as anyone in the production team, say producer or line producer, is that I need to find the right locations first.
Right.
That is one of the biggest jobs. Like, I need to have my contacts and my set of location managers and things like that, and I have to find the right locations. Of course, before all of this, I'm really sorry, I've skipped the main question of this. Is putting down the budget, right?
Right.
So most often we give a budget based on just a brief before we've even started these
Yeah,
breakdowns,
yeah,
and
yeah.
we've started identifying, who are the actors or what are the locations or which is the team that is going to be a part of this project, depending on availability, depending on you know everything, so many things. So
Just
a
just
lot of
on
the
just on the
times,
brief. Just on the brief,
yeah,
like
just on the
not
brief.
even on the script.
So brief and script. Sometimes the script also. I mean, largely it is a script.
Okay. Yeah,
When
वही
I
मैं
say
बोल
brief,
रहा
I mean like the first script without the treatment note,
Oh, okay.
right? So a script will come in and we'll be asked to give a budget based on that initial script.
So a
Of course, there are
treatment
a lot of times where briefs also will come in. Huh.
so a treatment note is basically like a tone of the film, a theme of the film.
Yeah, the treatment note is basically how the director sort of envisualizes the film. So he will have his own way of how he wants it to look, how, whether he has certain particular shots in mind, whether he has basically it's the director's treatment.
Okay,
So in a
Shahnawaz wants to
director,
say something. He says,
what's
"झूठ
he saying?
पूरा control करती है."
I think we should remove him from this chat. Okay, he's just going to distract me.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, the treatment note will be how the director envisions the entire script, and the director might want to have, say, for example, he or she might want a rotating shot, which is not there in the script, right? But this
Right.
is the way he or she visualizes it.
Right.
So then I have to make sure I have the equipment to cause that rotating shot.
Correct.
So
And on which
being
day it is required and all of
exactly.
that.
So being a creative producer, I have to be a part of that creative process where they are figuring out the kind of shots that they want, what is the look and feel, so that I know exactly what requirements they may have, and I can sort of foresee what may or may not go wrong and plan for that. That is the entire job of a production person.
Okay, I
Figuring
think
out,
this is really
yeah,
nice to understand because we've always felt कि यार production या फिर line production or you know anything related to production has got nothing to do with the creative side of filmmaking, whereas it has mostly been
unfortunately.
no,
Unfortunately, that's how it is with a lot of people. They basically, most production people will, ask for a list of requirements from a direction team, and of course, they will also look at a script and break it down according to their whatever lists they have.
yeah,
But if you're not part of the creative process, then it's very difficult for you to foresee a problem. For example, I'll just give you, one example that we did. There was this commercial that we shot for a Kenyan brand called Akida. It's a bread brand, and it was a mix of live action as well as 3D animation. So, and we were shooting with a child. So of course, there are many things that are involved. But one of the things that we decided was that we wanted the camera to go really close to the child's face at one point. And the kid is supposed to be sitting across a table, and you can't, like, there are certain restrictions and things like that, right? So in these creative discussions, when we were sitting with the direction team and when we were sitting with the agency and things like that, we realized that we would need special equipment called a probe lens, which would be used to actually go close to that
right.
food
It's
as
like
well
on
as
a stick. It goes.
yeah,
Yeah, got
yeah.
it.
So it allows the lens to go closer to the face without the camera actually having to go closer. So these are things that I know immediately that okay, fine, this is I have to plan for. So I know immediately if I'm part of the creative process. Otherwise, what happens is I sit, with my own breakdown. Direction team will sit with their own breakdown, and God forbid they have skipped out something which they've forgotten to tell me. Then everybody is screwed on set because that thing doesn't land up.
Yeah, because of
So
just one thing, like the entire shoot can be
absolutely,
put on
it
hold.
can it can just be completely derailed because of one thing. So that's why it's really important to sort of be a part of the creative process and be able to foresee what are the things that will be needed, and also what are the things that can go wrong, and plan for those things.
I mean,
But
this also explains like why a producer has to be like really good at time management because ultimately that saves a lot of time because considering the cost that is involved in one day shoot, तो
yeah,
उसमें से अगर 2 घंटे भी अगर हम लोग वेस्ट कर देते हैं on set, then we can imagine
definitely.
some few lakhs going off the project.
Absolutely. I mean, literally, when we're shooting, I don't think there are so many instances where you can actually say time is money, and it actually means that. Like literally, as time goes by, money is just being spent on a film set. So it's extremely important to
How many
have your
how many
breakdowns and have your
How many assistants do you have, like when you work on a project?
well, I think we've already gone through the entire part where I've told you that I've come from a background where I'm
I
used
know,
to
I know, I
doing
know.
everything.
No, for
So
example,
it's
like
very
there
difficult.
is.
Yeah, no, it's very difficult for me to sort of let go. So I have a very small team, and
No, I'm only trying to understand that, like, so you work as a producer, you must be having some assistants, and then you must
I
be working
usually
very
work with a
closely with the
Yeah, I usually
assistant
work with a
directors.
maximum of 2 to 3 people on my team.
Okay,
I think 3 is the most people who have been on the production team with me on any given project, whether it was Uri, which had a crew of 150 to 170, or whether it was Manikarnika, which had a crew of almost 325. Right. So I think Manikarnika, we had probably more people on team. There were about 4 people on the production team for Manikarnika. But yeah, we keep it really small, yeah, because actually on my sets there is no producer, EP, LP. I sort of club all those 3 positions into my position, which is one just generic production person. And then there are, maybe 2 people in most cases who help me out in coordination and, obviously handling certain things on ground, making sure things are going on time, making sure teams are there on set at the right time, things like that. And yeah, I mean, 4 people in the case of Manikarnika, which was a larger set to handle, so we needed that kind of a team.
Do you think that a producer's job when he or she is breaking down a script is very similar to in a first AD's job who's also breaking down the script for requirements?
Uh, I think the first AD's job is a little bit more detailed because they really have to go into all those nitty gritties of, for example, when you're breaking down the props, the ADs have to really go into details of exactly what props are required and what is the kind of props that they want and things like that. But for a production team, it's enough to know just a mota kind of breakup of the kind of props that we need,
Okay.
so that I can budget for it, and then I can also once the ADs do their breakdown, I'm also on the same page as them, so then I can be in talks with the production designer or the art director and figure out actually how much will go into that, whether it's budget, whether it's manpower, whether it's time, all of those things.
Okay. So tell me now one thing. You have worked on projects which has involved some action also, right?
Yes.
When you are prepping for an action scene, is it any different than when you prep for any other project?
Yeah, it is definitely quite different, and it's also a lot more. It has to be a lot more detailed because there are a lot of things, especially for us to consider production wise, when action is involved.
So
Just
how does your process change when you are prepping for an action scene?
So basically, when we're prepping for an action scene, it's very important to first of all understand what is the kind of action that's happening, right? Is it simple action in terms of, like, for example, the bike ad that not the bike ad, but the safety ad that we did together.
Yeah.
It was simple in terms of there weren't multiple people and there wasn't like a whole fight sequence choreographed, but it was complicated in terms of we had to create a crash,
Right.
right? So for me, in that instance, I need to first of all, it can be the simplest of things where we had to put you on a harness. So I know that I have to have multiple options for your costume just because we have a harness involved, right? Or it can be as complicated as me having to find a vehicle that is willing to be scratched, dented, completely shattered, and figuring out how of course there are a lot of people who do this, but figuring out the right vehicle, figuring out how it fits in the correct budget, all of that, right? So that is involved. Plus there is the factor of anybody getting injured on set. On
Right.
a regular shoot, there isn't that big a probability that someone will get injured on set, but on an action shoot, the biggest fear for everyone, the entire team, is that someone will get injured. And of course, this gets more and more complicated with the complication of the action. Sometimes there's fire involved. Sometimes there's, there are blasts involved. There are like special effects on set that are involved. So each of those things add to those complications. So when we're prepping, it's extremely important for us to know exactly what that action is going to be and what are the kind of, like, for example, what are the kind of props that you're going to have on set which is going to break, right? So that those are things that add to the budget. If we're having fire on set, then I need to have a fire brigade, I need to have fire permissions, I need to have an ambulance. All of those things come into play. So it is action shoots are definitely far more challenging because one really has to go into every single detail of what can go wrong. This is where I think my negativity really acts to my advantage sometimes, because I can think of the worst possible outcome and hopefully use that to my advantage and figure out, okay, fine, this is how we can stop this from happening.
No, but I think that's like a plus point for you as a producer, because if you can just think of the worst, then you can just come out with flying colors.
Yeah.
Uh,
So the idea is that one has to sort of really break it down into every single thing that can happen, that can go wrong on set, and find a solution and be prepared for that.
okay. And how's your interaction with any action director whenever such action sequences are supposed to happen? Like, when do you first interact with him? How much are you creatively involved with the action director? And how much of a like a contribution in terms of कि क्या exactly होने वाला है and how you should prep, you get all of these details from action director.
Yeah. So, see, my interaction with the action director obviously starts from the time where I ask him to reduce his costs. So, I'm probably the first person who interacts with the action director, and we've obviously already started off on not the most positive note. I'm just kidding. I mean, leaving jokes aside,
She's
I
not
think
kidding.
interaction. I think interaction. My experience has been because we the way we work is that we try to be sort of thorough in everything we do. We try to have the action director come in, and we have a whole discussion on what we're looking at, create the whole uh, what is the action that we want. The action director obviously gives his suggestions. We take whatever we can take based on what we have thought of, based on the director's vision and all of that. So in my experience, the interaction with action directors has most often been quite good only. Of course, we've not worked with that many action directors, and I think also once we started working with you, we've not worked with anybody else. So my action direction, like my interaction with that department, has largely been only with you. So I think it's been really great because we have actually cracked that that entire method of in pre itself really breaking down the entire action that's going to happen, whether it's been choreographing a fight or whether it's been the crash scene that we've done. We have sort of understood at least largely what is going to happen on set. It's never been I don't think there has been a case that I have worked on at least where I've gone to set and I don't know what's happening with the action scene, and God forbid that day ever comes, because I will probably have a panic attack, right? Because I
Yeah.
can't go into something without being prepared.
So
So it's been good. I mean, action directors, of course, their experience is different with everyone. In terms of with the director, it will be different, with the direction team, it will be different, and with the actors, it will be different. But as a production person, I'm mostly only interacting with the action director to figure out what the requirements are, what we'll need, how do we keep the set safe, all of those things. So it's been pretty smooth. Of course, the action department is a little bit complicated because there are a lot of rules, there are a lot of unions, the who have the rules which are very strict. You can only work with certain action directors. They have to have cards, all of that. So there are lots of complications that come in when action is involved. There is your special effects department, which has a certain way of working. They will only send particular people, and the rates are according to the union. So those are definitely complications that come on onto my shoots when we do action. But interaction wise, I think it's been fine, because I think most of the going at loggerheads happens with the director and the action director, if anything. But yeah, with me it's only like, okay, give me more money. So
funniest funniest stories on any shoot or action shoots?
okay, I don't know about a funny story on an action shoot, but I remember in the early days when we had just started the company, when obviously jobs were sort of, roles were sort of running into each other, and different, everyone was doing everything. We did this ad with kids. It was a commercial called the Tree House. I mean, it was for a school called the Tree House,
Right,
and
the
we had
treehouse.
100 kids. We had 100 kids on set, okay, for like one shot. And we had three kids who were the main actors uh, for the film. and there was one kid who was a little bit cranky and like a little bit not easy to work with. And these are 3-year-olds I'm talking about, right? So you know the kind of mood swings we're looking at. And the other two kids were dolls. I mean, I think Nazneen is on, and her son was, one
Also
of the
there.
kids who we worked, right? Yeah, and we worked with him like several times after that because of that first interaction. But yeah, there was one kid who was a little troublesome, and we were shooting in Kamalistan, and it was a VFX come live action shoot. So to explain VFX to kids, you can just imagine the complications, right? So there was one shot where all three kids are supposed to be sleeping on the ground, and they're supposed to be looking up at, this flying creature that is passing over them. And we just couldn't get this kid to lie down. I mean, we tried everything, Vicky. You can't imagine. Like, we tried to convince him every possible way that we could to try and get him to lie down on the grass and just look up. He just had to look up. There was a point where the entire crew of probably 80 or 90 people, everyone was lying on the ground except the camera person who had to press the record or the roll button. Every single person on set was lying on the ground next to the kid, just out of frame, just so that we could convince this kid to sleep on the floor, on the grass. So that was like one hilarious incident that has happened with us on set.
Okay, somebody has also asked this, and I wanted to bring that up also. There are a lot of see, these are the things which are unheard of, like insurance, especially in case of action shoots. How
Yeah.
important do you think they are, and how do you basically go about it? That's it. And the best way to go for insurance is for anybody who's who's watching this or who wants to shoot action in future. Like how can they secure their shoot and their safety, everything.
So I personally believe that whether it's an action shoot or not an action shoot, one should have insurance for your shoot any given day. Although there are a lot of times where we don't have those kind of leeway in our budget to have insurance for every single shoot, I try and put it in every budget that I present. But that, having said that, that's probably one of the first few things that get cut out, right? But for an action shoot, especially, insurance is the most important thing. I don't think if you don't have the budget to put insurance in an action shoot, don't do the shoot at all. That is my lookout. Because as I said earlier, you never know what can go wrong, right? I mean,
Right.
no matter how much you foresee and how much you predict that these things can go wrong, you hope for the best that it doesn't. But just in case that one thing goes wrong, somebody gets hurt, something happens to the set, something like, God forbid, something serious happens to an actor or anyone else on set, right? This is the only thing you can fall back on.
So
Because-
and these insurances are on a per day basis or like for the entire project.
Yeah. So there are special film insurances that specialized people do. There are a few companies that specialize only in film insurance. So they have a whole procedure. They have a form that you have to fill out, which is basically what is the value of the shoot. So say, for example, my budget is a 25 lakh, like I'm spending 25 lakhs on this film, or say not on the film, on a particular day I'm spending 25 lakhs, because obviously my post and everything is not included, right?
Right.
So I will tell them, okay, my cost of one day of shoot is 25 lakhs. So they will insure me for that amount.
Okay.
Then they have questions like how many people are in the crew.
Okay.
So they insure according to my crew size.
Okay.
They insure according to who my star actor is. So if my star cast is Kangana Ranaut, then my insurance fee is going to be far higher than having a regular star cast
Oh.
or a regular actor.
Okay.
Right? So they have a whole form that one has to fill out, and it varies, based on whatever you're doing. They also ask questions like, is there action sequences? Are there animals involved? Is there fire involved? So you have to provide all of these details, because the the probability of having a accident on shoot is higher when you have
Yeah, when it.
have
Okay,
fire.
somebody. Story Transistor. I think we both know who he is. So he has
Hi,
asked a.
Kanak.
Kanak, what's up? I like your French beard. Okay, so he's asking a question which is quite similar to mine. But this is a little early in the chat, but I don't mind if you can answer this now. So he says, "Hi Kripa, can you tell us how do you manage so many tasks? Like what do you do to be this calm and happy-go-lucky?" And my question was similar to this. Like, how do you deal with a variety of people on set? Like, how do you deal with a crew? You know?
See, this part of things really is important before the actual day of shoot, right? So it all
Wisp,
begins
yeah.
in, yeah, no, it all begins in when you're choosing the team who you work with, and we have been really lucky to work with absolutely fantastic teams. Like whatever project we've done, whether it's been costume designers, art directors, production designers, action guys,
Thank you.
like we have been so lucky to find our kind of people, the kind of people who are passionate, the kind of people who are easygoing, who are willing to sort of work with you rather than against you.
Right.
So I think it just starts with picking and getting the right team on board. You have to have a rapport with the team, even though there are several times where we work with new, obviously every time there's a new project, there is an opportunity to work with a new team, right? So even when we work with a new team, it's really important that you build a rapport with that person. And once you build a rapport and everything is fine and you like the person, unless you really don't like the person, only then there's a problem. But otherwise, normally, like, people are easy to get along with. Yeah, it's not that difficult.
And
Of course,
what do
there
you
will
think the kind of
always,
attitude that a line producer or a producer should have when he or
you
she
have
is
to be you have to be really calm, because when you're on set, being a line producer or a producer, most of your job is done, right? You have done all the you've got the team on board, you've arranged for everything to be there at a particular time, everything is there on time. So when you're on set, the only thing that's coming to you is problems. Like people come to you and say, okay, this is not here, where the hell is it? Or, this has happened, this has broken, we need a replacement, or we need something immediately because this is the last minute requirement that has come up. So you have to be really calm. You have to, first of all, know your job really well, because otherwise you will not be able to survive.
yeah, because
Okay,
if
and
anything that goes wrong, the only person that anyone goes to is the producer.
exactly, producer and
Yeah,
production, right?
yeah,
So you have to know your job really well. You have to respect your team. Everyone on the team, whether it's like top level technicians to the smallest person on your in terms of the person who's doing the smallest role on your set. You have to be respectful of every single person, because once you give respect, then they will respect you back. So that is really important. And thirdly, once you're calm, you will be able to deal with things easily. Like you won't panic when things are just thrown at you. You'll, instead of saying, oh shit, this is completely screwed, we can't do anything, you will now be like, okay, fine, this is the problem, what is the solution and how quickly can we do it? So
basically become like a problem solver and accept the fact that the
exactly,
problems are gonna be there,
exactly.
no matter
See, you
what you do.
have to accept, I mean, Murphy's law is there for a reason. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Okay, tell
You
me
just
about
have to figure out.
every line producer's dream.
I don't know about every line producer's dream, but for me, I think, first of all, I mean, every new project is a dream only, because every project you're getting to learn something new, you're working with a different team and all of that. But for me, I think it would be really cool if I got to work on, one of the slightly bigger foreign production kind of things, because I feel like the way a foreign production works is a bit different from the way we work. And I think it'll be a great opportunity to like just learn and work on my skills and get a different perspective of things.
Right. Okay. One tip or technique that you would want to give our audience, whoever is watching this, who's willing to become like a line producer in future or anything, one tip that you would like to give about how to negotiate with vendors?
Be charming. That's the only thing that I can say. I mean, people are not going to respond to you if you're like, this really like stuck to whatever, that no, I can't do this and this is how much I have. And especially like, you have to be charming, especially when you're negotiating. They have to
Okay,
want
okay.
to work with you, right?
Speaking of which, do you think being a woman, like when you're negotiating with vendors, it's much easier to get
I don't know about
you,
much easier, but yeah, sometimes it is easier. I do use it to my advantage, and I'm like, please help me out. And I am really not, I don't have the money to give you. And if I like use a little bit of a, pavam, I don't know if you know the word pavam, but it basically means bichara kind of voice, then a lot of people do just give in and they're just like, okay, fine, we just do it for you type of a thing. but,
But has it
yeah.
also become like sometimes has it also become like a thing where you are being discriminated also, being a
Oh,
woman on set?
definitely. Oh, definitely. I mean, there are so many people who have a problem with a woman being in a producer's or a production role. Like, especially for me as a producer or creative producer, at the end of the day, I'm in charge of giving out the money, right?
Right.
So, a lot of men have an issue with a woman, with the fact that a woman is actually paying them. And there have been a lot of incidents which are not great incidents that have happened on set just because of the fact that I have been a woman. And it's a difficult place to be in, and especially in production, it's a little bit hard because you have to be stern about things. You're getting a team on board and you're expecting that team to work according to a certain time, so you have to be very strict about a lot of things. And when there is a woman in a position of power, there is always a problem. I mean, there are a lot of men who just don't take that well, right?
Has it ever happened that you said you gave some instruction and it was not being followed at all, and
Oh,
they're like,
not instructions. So there was this one set particularly. I think you were on that shoot, but you might not have heard about this incident. We were shooting Comic-Con, the Comic-Con promo,
yeah,
and we were shooting at Thakur Village complex where the plane was.
yeah,
Yeah. So the location manager of that particular location. So Thakur complex is a college location, right?
yeah,
And they have several locations in that one college, which they give out to different people.
correct, correct.
So the location manager actually told me that they give out in 30 days in a month, they give out the location 35 days, because that's how many, like they have multiple locations, and they can give 2 locations to one person on any given day, right? So I had booked the plane location and they have 6 makeup rooms there, and I had an actor ensemble of around 11 or 12.
Yeah. We had a lot
uh,
of actors that day. Yeah,
yeah, we had secondary, like we had main cast 11 or 12, we had Biswa, and we had a lot of second, like junior artists as well, right? So I booked all 6 makeup rooms, and I had been negotiating with this guy for like weeks before we even got into the shoot. And I had confirmed a lot of things saying that, okay, I want 6 makeup rooms, all 6 makeup rooms. I want these particular things. This is where my food is going to go. This is where my tents are going to go. Everything had been planned out, right? And on the day of the shoot, I get to set. My production team has already reached before me, and I get a call like half an hour before I reach set saying that we've only been given 3 makeup rooms. And I freak out. I'm like, why have we only been giving 3 makeup rooms? I have very clearly said that I want all 6. So they tell me that no, the location manager has given another part of the college to a different crew, and they have taken 3. They have taken 3 makeup rooms. So I call the guy and I have lost it, right? Because this guy has been really difficult to work with throughout this entire process. He's just one of those typical male chauvinistic kind of location managers who are very like rigid in the way they work. So I call him and I'm like, what's going on? Like, what are you talking about? Why have you given me only 3? So he's like, no, you didn't confirm it, and we had this discussion and you didn't confirm it. I'm like, I have confirmed it, and in fact I even have it on message. I can send you the screenshot. He's like, no, but then we spoke and you weren't sure about it. I'm like, I never had this so a lot of back and forth happened, and he actually ended the conversation on, oh no, just because you're a woman, y'all change your mind whenever y'all want. And I lost it. Like, that was the last straw. Okay, I mean, I normally am very calm, especially before going on to a set, because I know this kind of a thing can throw you off. But if it's
Right.
one particular person and you're really pushing me to the edge, if I actually get angry, I just lose my temper really quickly. So I gave him a piece of my mind, right? And he was like, I don't want to have this conversation. And we both like sort of hung up on each other. So we reached set and I tried to have a conversation with him, and he pretty much said somewhat like on the same lines as what he was talking. And this is where I had my director as well as assistant directors around me. So there was Shanawaz, there was Kanak, I think. There was also another guy called Fez. And the minute they heard him saying this, they also like completely lost it, and they literally almost went to him to start a fight. And this is before the shoot was started. So then I had to calm them down, and I'm like, guys, please calm down. Don't take offense. I should be taking offense, but like, you guys calm down. So we had to
Oh,
somehow
I
manage
had
the
no
situation.
clue that this happened on the day of shoot.
Yeah. This was on the first day of shoot at around 7 in the morning before anything even started. So, yeah, I mean, this sort of thing happens all the time, yeah, Vicky. I mean, you just have to either just grow a really thick skin, or you have to learn to give it back to people when you know that it can't affect your shoot. Right? So,
Right.
so obviously, the first priority is always keep everyone's best interests in mind.
Correct.
Make sure the shoot is going smoothly, and then when you get the chance to tell people that your sexism really doesn't work in my way of working, and that was wrong what you did, then that's the best time that you can sort of give it back.
Wow. That's a great lesson, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's one just sort of has to be gritty. I mean, the funny part was that at the end of the day, I sort of had to calm everyone down. That was kind of hilarious. But I think you also
Okay,
just sort of have to
I think
reel it in.
we have few questions here.
Okay.
Shanawaz is asking, what is more important, creativity or deadline? That's a director asking. That's
I
a
think
typical
creativity.
director.
I think creativity is really important before the day of shoot, but on the day of shoot, deadlines are really important.
Oh, that's very well said, by the way.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, and there is one from Sarfaraz Ali. With the upcoming restrictions for shoot post lockdown, we might have to work with with very limited crew. How will you tackle this?
I think this has been a long time coming, Vicky. Whether it is because of coronavirus or anything else, I think as Indians, because we have so many people in this country, we sort of tend to create more jobs for people, which is a good thing and also a bad thing. I think we have to be very mindful now about the kind of teams that we work with, in terms of we have to learn how to restrict our teams, how to limit our teams. Like, I'll just give you a very quick example. We've also shot in Australia and Japan and things like that. And when we have shot in Australia and Japan, we have worked with lighting crews, right? So they come with a 1-ton truck, and the 1-ton truck is like a whole truck which has all your equipment, your light stands, your cutters, your plug points, your wiring, your lights, everything, right? And comes with one person. Over here, if I have to get a 1-ton truck, I will have a minimum crew of 6 to 8 people.
Yeah,
Lightman.
easily. Yeah,
Like,
easily.
my lightman will not give me equipment with less than 6 people. 6 people is absolute minimum for 1 ton. So we have to learn. We have to learn to, multitask. And it's not that we don't know how to multitask. It is just that we don't want to multitask because we are so used to and we are so spoiled by this way of working.
Right.
In the US, you have a camera team where your focus puller also builds the camera, right? The
Okay.
focus puller and the gaffer, like the focus puller and the gaffer is usually one person, and that person also builds the camera. You know, they are the camera attendant. They will bring the lenses. They will take the tripod. They will, assemble the gimbal and everything. It's all done by one person. So I find it very hard to believe that it cannot be done in India as well. It's not that we don't have the talent or we don't have the knowledge to do it or to work like that. We definitely have that. It's just a matter of, sort of putting down those rules and saying, reduce your set. So definitely one thing is going to be reducing your set, your crew. The second thing that is going to be really important is planning. Uh, I am already like a huge fan of planning. So this is something that works in my favor. You have to plan to the very last detail so that everything works like clockwork on set. We will have to come up with solutions where, maybe your lighting team goes in advance, lights up the entire set or every scene. Lighting crew leaves. Then the art department goes in on set. The art department sets up, art department leaves. Only one person is left behind to sort of, make sure that things are looking correct on
Tell
set.
me one thing.
So,
How can one really educate oneself to get into the details of how a line production should be how it should work basically. Where and how do you
I
think?
don't have the answer to this question. I've never actually done any courses online production per se, or
But everything that has
on
come to you has
production.
come from experience, you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just have to be a stickler for detail and sort of break things down as much as possible. As much as, like, a lot of people will think you're anal, and they will just think you're crazy that you're going into so much detail, but you have to. That's the only way that you can do it.
Yeah, well, there was this famous saying in a Mukesh Ambani film, like on his biography, not Mukesh Ambani, sorry, Dhirubhai Ambani.
It's like,
Like,
Guru.
गुरु या जब लोग बोलें कि पागल है क्या तो मतलब तुम्हारा टाइम अच्छा आने वाला है.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think you just have to be that little bit of crazy to sort of,
Yeah, I think a little bit of crazy is
be
always
apart
required.
from the rest.
Okay,
Yeah.
one more question from Samta Datta. Do you anticipate that as producer, there needs to be a stronger need of clarity from agency or client post what? I don't know. And
I
Shahnawaz
think
says good
post-corona.
Samta. Oh, okay. Post Corona.
Yeah,
Post-corona.
I think there will just have to be a lot more clarity from every department, not only from agency. The agency has to be very clear on what they are expecting, because a lot of time what happens is that you go on set. Of course, the agency will give the brief, and the director works according to the agency's brief and all of that. But a lot of time what happens is, while you're on set especially, the agency is present with the client.
Yeah.
So everyone needs to be extremely clear, starting from the agency and the client, as to what their expectations are. If you are expecting a white shirt, are you expecting crisp white shirt, off white shirt, or eggshell?
Basically,
Right?
absolute detail. Thank you so
Yes.
much. Thanks a
Awesome.
lot. This has been so amazing.
I hope it has been
Uh,
helpful.
yeah, and you've also taught us a great deal about how a line producer's attitude should be.
Thank you so much for
But
having me. It's
no,
great to
no,
be
please.
part of
Guys,
this.
if you have any questions regarding line production, being a producer, if you are thinking of becoming a producer or anything, just throw in the comments below. I'm gonna share this on my Instagram and on my YouTube, and we'll answer all the questions. Right. Thank you so much, Kripa.
Thanks,
Have a
Vicky.
great day.